Hello and welcome to our evening news roundup. First in our topical news, the head of state Abdelmajid Tebboune received today here in Algiers Prime Minister of Italy Giuseppe Conte at the presidency of the Republic. The two sides held a face-to-face meeting after which Giuseppe Conte stated that Algeria shared with his country a common vision based on dialogue, which is the sole and only option to find a political solution to the Libyan crisis. Members of the Italian and Algerian delegations extended their discussions to include, among other topics, the Libyan crisis. The Algerian diplomacy is strongly committed to this issue, as it has been at the forefront of flurried diplomatic efforts for weeks now in order to create adequate conditions for an effective resumption of an inter-Libyan dialogue, as well as for the UN-backed peace initiative. These same efforts contributed to the currently observed ceasefire. Following the meeting, the Italian Prime Minister indicated that his country remained very close to Algeria and they have followed with the utmost interest the changes witnessed by Algeria. He thanked the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, as well as Prime Minister Abdelaziz Gerard for their warm welcome. He seized this opportunity to reaffirm the strong historic ties existing between Algeria and Italy and called for their promotion at all levels. Earlier today, Prime Minister Abdelaziz Gerard had a meeting which took place at the Government Palace with the Prime Minister of Italy, Giuseppe Conte. Prime Minister of Italy, Giuseppe Conte, wound up his visit to Algeria. He was seen off at the international airport of Houari Boumediene by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sabri Boukadoum. In line with international efforts to confine the Libyan crisis and bring it to a sustainable end, his visit allowed the Algerian and Italian authorities to follow up and broaden their consultation on the said crisis, but also other regional and international issues that are of a mutual interest to both, and which will be at the heart of the coming session of the high bilateral meeting between Algeria and Italy, scheduled to be held in Algiers during this year's first semester.
The head of state Abdelmajid Tebboune will receive next Tuesday, January 21st, at the presidency, a delegation of directors and executives representing public and private media, according to a communiqué released by the presidency. This meeting will be an opportunity for the president to clarify a set of national and international issues, according to the same communiqué. It is worth noting that this meeting will be followed by others as part of the commitments taken by the President of the Republic.
Major General Saeed Shangariha, Acting Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, continued his work in an inspection visit for the third day to the 4th Military Region, supervising demonstrative exercises and chairing different meetings with the regional staff, directors and heads of various security services. At the end of yesterday afternoon, during the orientation meeting with the executives of the operational sector, Southeast Janet, and the inspection of several units deployed at the level of this sector, Major General Shangariha chaired a meeting with the Command and General Staff of the region as well as the heads of security services. After the welcoming ceremony at the entrance of the headquarters of the regional command, the Major General observed a moment of meditation on the memory of Shahid Shihani Bashir, whose name is borne by the headquarters of the region, and led a wreath in front of the commemorative stone and recited the Fatiha, or opening chapter of the Quran, in his memory and that of our brave martyrs. He then proceeded to the inauguration of the Regional Military Archives Center before visiting its various infrastructures. The Major General also chaired a meeting with the regional staff, the commanders of the operational and military sectors, commanders of units, heads of the various security services, and regional directors, where he followed an exhaustive presentation on the regional situation in the region, presented by General Major Hassan Alaimia, commander of the region. On the same occasion, Major General Acting Chief of Staff of the National People's Army emphasized the central importance of this military region and the role of its units deployed along the border strip in terms of securing the country against all scourges and threats.
The Minister of Communications, spokesman of the government, Ammar Belhamer, paid a visit today to the headquarters of the Algerian Press Service Agency, APS, where he inquired about the working conditions of journalists and seized this opportunity to pay tribute to late Abdelkarim Hamad, former journalist of the APS. Ammar Belhamer also expressed his regret for the loss of an outstanding figure who devoted his lifetime to the agency and its professional development. The body of the deceased will be repatriated on Friday, while the burial will be held next Saturday at El Qattar Cemetery here in Algiers.
In her first outing, the Minister of Environment and Renewable Energy, Nasira bin Harrath, inspected on Thursday many enterprises relevant to her department here in Algiers, accompanied by the Minister Delegate in charge of Saharan agriculture and mountains. Nasira bin Harrath insisted on the interest of launching environmental training programs. She also stressed the need to assign an environmental delegate at each province to deal with the problem of pollution.
The settling of the Libyan crisis takes a different turn with all the factors that play in its favor. Faiz al-Sarraj, the head of the Union Government Council, announced the Libyan government of national accord, which will take part at the International Conference on Libya, slated for Sunday in the German capital Berlin, while its protagonist Khalifa Haftar hasn't yet confirmed his attendance. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas visited the eastern Libyan stronghold of Benghazi on Thursday to persuade retired General Khalifa Haftar to join the conference. According to the UN, this meeting aims at putting an end to international divisions, foreign interference in Libya, as well as restoring peace and stability in this country. The UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres called for backing the peace conference for Libya and invited the warring parties to end hostilities, and a ceasefire came into effect 4 days ago. The UN Special Envoy Ghassan Salama voted with satisfaction that the parties are abiding to the ceasefire, adding that he hopes that 2020 will ensure minimum international consensus, as well as a path towards peace and stability. Several countries will take part in the Berlin summit, including Algeria, Russia, Turkey, the United States, China, as well as Italy and France.
Sports now, USM Algiers snatched a 1-0 praiseworthy victory over visiting GS Kabylie in their game in hand held today at Omar Hamadi Stadium here in Algiers as part of the National Football Championship. The sole goal was scored by Ayman Mahyous. This result allows USM Algiers to jump to the third slot with 22 points, while GS Kabylie in the fifth with 20 points. That was it for our news roundup. Thanks for joining us. Good night.